You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards Nagel, and Teighlor Polendo.
We're back. Everyone has a one-on-one relationship with someone in their family. The example is a two-parent household with two kids. That equals 6 dyad relationship. There's 6 individual relationships going on. Essentially what you're looking at, so 2 parents, 2 kids, 6 relationships individually. 5-person family, like you guys have, that's 8 individual relationships going on. Then just some fun facts. Brady Bunch, that's 28 dyad individual relationships.
Nice.
The Kennedy family, 55.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yep.
this is why getting into the examples and practical application matters, because we have so many individual relationships going on in a family, and then collectively grouped together as siblings if you have them.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know. The numbers made me laugh, and I thought our TalkDoc would love it, and I just think it's fun. So
I love it. And I also think it highlights something really important, which is there's a lot of relationships to attend to, and they're not going to automatically happen. And the question that we get sometimes on this podcast is, how did our relationship slip away, or how are we not in this perfect relationship? And we would say you have to do the work.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So that really gets us into the question of, when we're talking about doing the work, I think there's people that say, well, I want to have a good relationship with my siblings, but maybe I try all the same things I used to always say. Or we just have things we say to each other that are sort of careless. Now, in our previous episode, we talked about these relationships with siblings are non-voluntary, meaning we didn't pick our siblings.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Pleasantly stuck with them. Hopefully.
Well, I mean, it's not that we don't have a good relationship with them, but just keep in mind that we didn't pick them. And so because we're in a non-voluntary relationship, sometimes we get careless with our words.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we say things we don't mean, maybe more than we might in a voluntary relationship. So I might say something a little edgier to a sibling than I would to a friend, because I might fear that friend would leave me.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but the
yeah.
sibling is still my
that.
brother or sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Said also they're a lot longer. We just have so much more of a history. They have been around your entire lives.
Right. I'm the youngest. They've been around my entire life.
Yeah.
And we have lots of history. But the thing we're trying to do today on this episode is talk about how are we going to improve our communication to have those better relationships, knowing we have 6, 8, 10 relationships. So instead of saying the thing that you would normally say, instead of saying that typical thing that is your role as being the youngest or oldest, whatever it is, instead of that, what can we do practically speaking, communicatively, to make those better? And an easy scenario to talk about is navigating aging parents' care, because this is about adult siblings, right? So you and your siblings are facing, what do we do with mom or dad, and they're aging, and we have to figure out how to care for them. Now, one of the things that would be a typical thing that someone might say is to say, well, why do I always have to do everything? And you never help. I could say something like that to a sibling, and that would be an old way of communicating. And so the question is, what's a different way to communicate that might actually help mom and dad in that situation? But also, don't forget, help the relationship with the siblings. One idea is to use a softer startup. So start the message in a softer way, and then do a repair attempt. And so what are we talking about there? We're saying, say something like, I feel overwhelmed with dad's appointments. Can we look at the schedule together and figure out what's realistic for all of us?
So we're looking at the new way of doing this, stopping the old habits. How do we do that?
Okay, so the first part of the message is, I feel overwhelmed. And that's a softer startup than you always make me do everything, or I always have to do everything, or you never help. So it's a softer startup, meaning that I associate more responsibility with myself as opposed to shifting it all to you.
Okay.
And then the repair attempt is, let's figure out how to do this together versus I do everything or you do everything. And breaking that down, part of what that reminds us as communicators is the utility of the messages. And when you and I are thinking about communication, sometimes we just get careless and say, you never help. But that's not actually going to get us help on the problem. And it's also going to be a repeated pattern, likely. but we're not really thinking about the utility of the speech. Because remember, speech does things. So it's going to build our relationships or tear them down. And it's going to do something to help mom or dad. And if we're trying to really get help from mom and dad and actually have a relationship, it's important that we do different messaging. And I would personally say, even on this topic, when we did this with my parents, it's hard enough to have care issues. And it's a lot harder to live a life where you're also breaking down sibling relationships while trying to handle something important like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that helps to hear from someone that comes from experience of dealing with this.
Yeah.
I could almost apply that same thing with older parents that have separated.
Uh-huh.
I know that because they are aging, but you're navigating how they're aging alone now, and how to work with your adult sibling in a way that doesn't push blame, but that connects you guys to do it together.
Yeah. We already have enough things to deal with. Why are we adding sibling tension to this?
Yeah.
If you zoom out from a practical perspective, why would you be careless in your communication? You're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we tend to do it, and I've done it. I'm not saying I haven't done it. I'm just saying it's easy to think about that. But if you think about what you're actually doing, you're making your life a lot harder by communicating poorly to your siblings.
I think sometimes that tension that comes from the aging parent in your own self or with them, maybe you then fully project it or deflect back onto the sibling because it's the next easiest relationship. But to resist that sounds like it would make things actually a lot more as a team effort or lighter or not so filled with tension.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm hearing is don't bring up all your childhood trauma through this very practical need of having to take care of mom and dad. Let's not bring up our other issues, and let's just handle the task at hand and communicate well around that.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Well said. Okay. Another one I've been thinking about is when we have this long-held tension that we haven't really moved through. I know that an old way of doing this would be to bring up something in the past, bubbles up in you and bring it up and like blame or be sarcastic. So I think a new way of doing this could look something like, hey, I recognize I still have some tension from how we were treated differently as kids or how our parents dealt with us in this way. And I'm not expecting to fix everything, but I'd like to get to know one another as we get older as people. Is that a possible thing we can do? An invitation,
so like an
sort of
emotional acknowledgement.
Yeah, like an invitation to some acknowledging of what happened, but also some invitation to moving to a new type of relationship as adults.
I think that's interesting to think about. Could we even say enough? Let's say there was an incident that happened or a trauma that occurred. Are there enough words for us to offer that sibling to make it all fine? Probably not.
No, but I think what I like in that example, though, is to say, hey, I recognize I keep something tension in me, right? That's a me moment. And I especially like the part that's I'm not trying to fix everything.
Yeah.
But I want to be invited into knowing you now.
Well, I love the acknowledgement. I'm acknowledging that. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to say it's okay, good or bad. I like the other part of your message, which is I'd like to get to know each other as adults or going forward. Because I do think sometimes we need that communicatively. We need to architect a future in this message construction and say, where do we go from here?
Yeah. Personally, I come from 2 girls and a boy, and I can see how I could use this, especially for my brother, to say, hey, I can see how we were treated differently in that way, and that must have been hard on you, and I'm not trying to fix it, but that's something I can see in my experience. What about when there's just silent treatment? Where
there's maybe temporary or even long-standing no relationship, not talking?
Yeah, maybe you attend a family function and just polite words are exchanged and nothing more, and not dealing, just quiet or just no, or just complete silence. Yeah, this happens where silent treatment between siblings happens. I think it's pretty ugly. And
so then you're waiting for the other person to make a move?
Yeah, I think that would be definitely the not great old way of doing this would be you go first. It's your turn first. Right. And I lean into this one saying, okay, the desire is to repair the relationship. Desire not to repair, fine. We're not talking to you. Desire to repair the relationship, if you want it, is to find some way to have some realistic tangible ways to, and so maybe you get out of your comfort zone and say something like, hey, I know we haven't really talked. I was thinking about you and I just want to say hi. You don't have to respond yet. No pressure to respond. Just
reach out.
An attempt to reconnect, but something that's realistic by saying, I'm thinking about you. What that shift is, you want to repair and you don't just sit and wait like you used to, which is really hard. I think that sounds like such a simple, you used to wait, now don't. But that is really difficult.
Well, I hear a little bit of pride. You have to reach out to me. Or it's
Well,
up
ego.
to you to bend the knee and start this conversation. And I think we have to bend the knee and say, I'm going to reach out because that's my bigger goal, is the relationship with a sibling.
Yeah. I think that's my key takeaway with that, because I don't know if it seems like competition, and especially in a silence, well, who's going to break first or who's going to be humble. But you have one life and hopefully you're going to be in relationship throughout that life. So stop with the tantrum that you're throwing right now and come out of your corner and
Teighlor just calling it what
make
it
a
is.
reconnection.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you know, you're an adult. Fuck, you have to actually do some work here.
I love
right.
it.
No, that's good.
Okay, I think one that comes up with siblings a lot, and it can get really yucky, is conversations or conflicts over inheritance and decisions around those types of things as adults.
Yeah.
Some language might come up, you're just trying to control everything or always.
Yeah.
Which
Only siblings would say to each other, everything, you're always like that.
Yeah, well, instead of doing that, maybe try a repair attempt or naming the pattern that's not continuously say things like always and everything. You can try to say, I can feel us getting into this back and forth. I don't want to fight with you. Can we pause and try again tomorrow? And I love pausing fights when you feel nothing is going to be fruitful from the exchange. I love a good pause. It's not an end. It's not a fine, whatever, we're done.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back to this. It's
That's
a
important.
pause. Yeah. And you have to name the time and place that you're coming back to it, because it's not just like, we'll pick this up at some point tomorrow, next week, Friday, whatever. Actually have a plan for when we can come together. And maybe that'll just make it more neutral and calmer. You can just be prepared to have a more productive conversation around a topic.
Do you think the person needing the pause should initiate the time and place you come back to that?
If they can, maybe they're the flooded person. Maybe they just literally are freaking out. So I guess whoever can be more generous in that moment, I would say. I don't know. What do you think?
it might be tough for the flooded person to come up with that.
Yeah.
Agree, but I feel, though, there has to be a responsibility for someone to initiate the coming back. And I think if you're requesting the pause, if you're trying to make repairs, trying to name a pattern, especially in a thing like inheritance, that can get very messy very fast, then I think you say, pause, can you help me pick a time to come back to this? When would work that's like not today or something? I think there has to be the initiation to come back communicated by the person needing the pause.
Yeah.
I feel that. Otherwise, they're just left with, I can't do this right now. Another person's, okay, when are we doing it?
Yeah.
Because then that's stopping. That's not pausing.
Right. I think as long as you're making an attempt to repair, and the key takeaway is to name the pattern that we're getting into, that we continuously do around this topic, which I think you and I maybe do with our spouses even. Oh, I see this pattern happening. Let's pause it and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how adult sibling stuff can start to mirror our partners when you've lived with them for so long.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I don't want that to happen, but it's true.
Kind of interesting, though, when you look at marriage and your sibling order.
No.
This is kind of funny. So my parents are two middles that married each other. I married an oldest. I think that's kind of common, that a baby likes to be taken care of, so they marry an oldest. But there's some, I don't know how credible it is, research about what makes the best pair. And I think it is the middle with the baby is the most fruitful marriage.
My parents.
Oldest, two oldest marrying, not a great combo.
My parents.
Whatever. Two oldest. I don't know. You can look it up. I don't know how credible it is, but I thought it was interesting how the sibling dynamic will play into your partner choice.
I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think the other thing we'd say about inheritance or other things that are financial, we've talked about a conflict over money, and self-examination is important here. Are you someone who gets upset about this topic? Are you predisposed to having conflict about this topic? And in what relationships? We can say, oh, this comes out of nowhere, but if parents pass away, it doesn't come out of nowhere. You're going to be having this conversation.
Yeah.
And so then you have to zoom out a little bit and say, what relationships do I want? What do I want going forward? And live on that playbook, not on the knee-jerk, emotional, reactive playbook. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. Jeffrey Kluger talked about that in the TED Talk, about how with siblings, the biggest trigger is actually property. And it starts at a very young age. Touching, playing, even looking at your special toy. It's noisy with our siblings. Think about when your kids were smaller, or even now, Teighlor and I, oh, they're touching that and it's special. You fight over things that you want to grasp because you have limited power from the jump. So that's what you hang on to, and it's constant. And actually, I thought was interesting is he said that noise is actually healthy for kids. The back and forth with fighting over the things, and maybe that gets into inheritance because it's over things again. And how have you worked through that? Were you noisy enough and helped make repairs and all these attempts, soft startups to practice when you were younger? Or are you having to relearn all this as adults?
I think I would point out here, there's too many times with our siblings that we're certain versus curious. I've known you my whole life. I know what you're going to say. I know how you're going to react. I know that I'm going to say this and you're going to say that. Oh, yeah. And the opposite of that is curiosity, is asking a question and hanging around for the answer.
That word keeps coming up for us this year.
It's a great word, but being curious rather than certain. And remember Mark Brackett, he said we need to be emotional scientists.
Yeah.
And we need to be curious, not emotional judgers. So typically a lot of times we hear something and we decide about it. And Brackett would say, hey, be careful. Just hear it first. Don't decide about it. And I think we could apply that to our sibling relationships and say, I'm not going to decide what you mean about any of these things. I just like to see what you're thinking now. And if we act curious, we're also acknowledging that life and development has happened. Because you and I can fix our siblings into where we left off with them and say, you're just like that. But I don't give you a chance to become more motivated or more cleaner, tidier, or I just fix you and you were a messy child or you were a talkative whatever, or I can fix you in all these different boxes and I don't let you out if I'm not curious. If I've just decided about you. But let's turn it the other way and say you and I would hate the idea that someone would have decided for our lifetime about us.
Oh, yeah. I actually have an ugly example of that for me. When I was younger, I fell into kind of guilt tripping with my brother that I didn't know I was doing. And as I got older, even after my first marriage was over, I definitely felt myself breaking that and being different. And I felt like it took years for him to see that I wasn't like that anymore.
Yeah.
It was constantly trying to prove that thing, that I'm not doing that to you. That sucks, right? That feeling you want your sibling to still be curious about you, that you have the ability to grow and change and be different from the way you were. Because I didn't want to be like that anymore. I felt like I was like, I could see that I was that way.
Yeah. And so that takes some patience trying to be better at that thing if there's something that's a deficit, but also the curiosity of your brother to know the new Meredith. The Meredith in her 30s is different than Meredith in her 10s.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. No.
Oh, God.
We like you at all the ages.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Teighlor.
No, that's a good thought. Okay, but what about when a sibling maybe makes a snide comment at a family gathering?
Oh, I've never been bad at that.
Couldn't possibly. Would never. Wouldn't be me. Maybe you have this pattern of escalating or withdrawing, which is very childlike, honestly. So you might say something, whatever, typical you.
Yeah. You're
But-
always like that.
You would. Checks out.
You would. Oh my gosh,
You
you would. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Dang. So instead of doing that, try a repair attempt paired with a turning toward. So that might sound like, oof, that stung a little. I'm guessing you were joking, but can we keep it a little lighter today? I'd really like to enjoy being with everyone.
Can
And
I tell you
would-
the example that makes me think of, Taylor?
Okay.
One of your brothers threw a ball at you or
Oh
wasn't
my gosh,
listening.
literally what I was thinking about.
Were you thinking that too?
Right. So the example was I was holding a baby and a sibling threw a ball at me. And I said, don't throw a ball at me. Tone. And I guess they felt corrected in front of a room full of people, which didn't go well for them. So they chose to throw another ball at me.
Oh, geez.
I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I'm holding a baby. Also, you're doing this in front of my kids. So I think with a lot of sibling stuff, you make a lot of meaning that's maybe not there. Yeah.
I could totally see how it would be really hard to lean in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm making meaning like, I need to set this example for my child. They need to do what I say. And you're trying to parent me. And then he starts pulling in all these dynamics of sister trying to tell me what to do. And it's all ridiculous. Let's instead just focus on the communication at hand and turn toward the other person. What do we actually want? I actually like to hang out with you and be playful with you. And that's what he was trying to do. Be playful, throw a ball. I'd like to enjoy today. Let's
do that when I'm not holding a baby.
Yeah. I mean, literally, he almost left my house. It turned into this huge thing. And I could have easily stopped it. Hey, bro, no thanks. I just want to have fun with you today. Not in that way. Or he could have been, hey, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. I would never look to a friend and be like, just stop. But I would totally say that to my sister.
Yeah.
Well, I think about that scenario in the absence of curiosity. There's no point that I hear where it's, oh, that's interesting. Taylor must feel very protective when she's holding that baby. There's no acknowledgement of that. Or, oh, my brother feels like I embarrassed him publicly. Oh, it's interesting to watch him react and be curious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on
I
for
see.
them?
That's something I want to know about my brother that I want to watch in the future.
Yeah.
And when I say something back to him publicly wouldn't be a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Damn.
Curious.
That was a good one.
Curious. Okay, so what about the situation where one sibling handles all the holiday planning?
That wants to be in control of everything.
So the old way of talking about that to a sibling would be, well, I'll do everything because I always do everything. Or I guess it'll come down to me because no one helps.
Per usual.
Right. And that is a passive aggressive delivery. And you want to think about that as a sibling and say, is that going to equal a good long-term relationship with my siblings? Remember, the goal was to get together for the holiday. We're immediately betraying the goal with that message.
Commonalities. We've talked about that before.
Right. So here I say, I want to get together with you. And I guess I'll do everything. And you're doing the exact opposite of what you're trying to accomplish there communicatively. Yeah. So the idea, again, is a softer startup. I don't know why I keep having the softer startup. It's sort of like the universe is telling me softer startup. And then a realistic request rather than something that's in everything or there you go again or something that's not achievable. So maybe saying something like, I've been doing most of the organizing and I'm getting a little burned out. Would it be possible for you to bring certain things on Tuesday before the holiday? Or maybe we can figure out the menu together, or maybe you can help out with the menu.
Yeah. Gosh, so, the passive aggressive way totally does do the opposite of what you want, which is for them to collaborate and take on more. But I can see how easy it is to be passive aggressive with siblings. And I don't even want to be a passive aggressive person, but I feel like all three of us can all go there. I mean, me and my brother and sister, we can all go there pretty fast. And we're actually all three of us pretty direct people. So it's surprising that we can do that to each other.
Yeah.
but
that is so easy to just go, oh, now I have to do it all. And when you do a passive aggressive comment like that, you are shooting yourself in the foot short-term and long-term.
Yeah.
Because you've killed the holiday again. You're sort of making that almost true again by doing that, and you're pushing people away.
Yeah.
And we've all been there where you say, what can I bring? And they go, nothing.
Yeah.
How can I help? Oh, you don't do it right.
Yeah.
Have you bring the mashed potatoes, but I don't like how you do them, you know.
Teighlor, confess.
Well, and so for this person, I'm thinking maybe you need to do a little reflection. Do you actually want help or do you want acknowledgement? Because I could see it going either way.
That's good.
That's a good point.
I think some people want to do it all, but they're not feeling appreciated or they're not feeling recognized for what they do.
Yeah, that's
a really
see
good
other
point.
people actually being overwhelmed. Hey, I need help. Help me a little self-reflection on that if you're that person.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Okay, this, as the only girl with two brothers, I can feel sort of left out sometimes. And it's fine for siblings to want to just hang out one-on-one maybe. But when there's only three of you, then that's just one person being left out. So this isn't the story of my life, but you might feel left out of like a sibling group text or gatherings.
Yeah, definitely. My sister and I are inviting my brother to get a pedicure or something. Yeah, you're left out.
Honestly, I think social media has highlighted where people feel left out all the time because we didn't have that maybe growing up as much.
Stop being dumb and posting about it is what we're really trying to teach you.
But it's okay to not be included in everything. Some people want quality time, so that would be a one-on-one experience, and
those
having
dyad
a third person,
Mm-hmm.
would just change that dynamic, and that is okay. So for the person who is being left out, it's okay that they have their own relationship, and it's okay for you to express your feelings around that. Hey, I would have loved to be included in this. Could maybe the three of us do something together? But tone, I think, is going to be, you want that gentle opener, not coming in harsh. And I think it's great to acknowledge your feelings around that. I'd love to be included. I love to have more time with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's also this way we can do things with each other where we have these resentment buildups about certain things. Maybe something specific happened. You were left out a pattern of times or something even traumatic or whatever it might be. A new, more productive way of dealing with past resentments between each other might be to actually name the past event. And our buzzword that we love here is how to set a boundary moving forward with that to improve that past. So you've heard your sibling say something that they resent about the past with you, and you can respond by saying something like, I hear that something still hurts you. First, I acknowledge I hear that. So I name that, right? I want to respect it. However, I also want to build something new together. Is it possible to agree to stay in the present when we're together? I think that's not shutting down that you're willing to deal with it, but you're setting a boundary. Can we be in the present moment and not bring up past grudges or resentments when we're in a moment together?
Right.
Name the past, set a present boundary. I guess if you're the person that still has the resentment, what I hope to see is you're able to set aside time to discuss that, and there's an openness for that communication. But that person that's responding is able to say, hey, but my boundary is that when we're together in a general dinner table conversation, we don't bring those things up. I don't know. Is that fair, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much history with a sibling, so can't have everything brought up in every day-to-day conversation.
Yeah. It's hard. The older you get, the less you see each other, the less you can resolve everything in real time, you know?
That makes sense.
That's kind of interesting because that's talking about, we're bringing up these things. What about the opposite of that where we're avoiding? Right? So the opposite is where a sibling is distant or avoidant and we never go there.
Yeah.
Right?
I hate that.
That's kind of the other thing. And so the tendency that I would have is to push people to talk about things.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I hate it, because I want to do that. Damn.
Let's talk about it now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to schedule a time, even though I do that in my own life, but I don't prefer it. And so instead of pushing them to talk, maybe after you've had a conflict or a disagreement, respecting the space, but offering connection. Again, remember, we're being strategic about wanting a relationship. And so I might say something like, I know we had a rough exchange last week And I want to give you space, but I also want to say I'm open to talking about that when you're ready. And I want us to be in a good relationship going forward.
Yeah. I got to focus on that one. I just am embarrassed to say that, but I definitely just feel the inclination to push.
So I know we had a hard conversation.
Yeah.
And I want to give you space, but I'm open to talking about it when you're ready and deciding long term, I want this relationship. So instead of saying that we have to talk about it now, get over here, giving the space, but also offering the connection, saying, hey, I want us to be good going forward. So let's talk about it when you're ready.
Yeah. Because I care about the relationship.
Yeah.
I think with siblings, you can kind of find your role in a family. I'm the peacekeeper. I'm the planner. I'm the responsible one. And then
You're
you can
the best
start.
one.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I would pick her.
But you start to resent your role maybe a little bit. And so you can either suppress feelings until resentment builds up. And then I think an explosion will probably happen. But instead of doing that, clear communication plus an invitation for collaboration could be helpful. So you could say, I've gotten into this habit of taking the lead and I don't want to be the only one. Can we talk about sharing this load, or can we talk about sharing the responsibilities with mom and dad or the holiday?
Tone is definitely going to matter with this one.
Tone for sure, but you kind of put people in boxes. Well, they're the flaky one. They're this one. I'm this one. So kind of let go of those things because we're acknowledging we're changing and maybe they're not this little kid you've kind of always seen them to be.
That's a really interesting observation.
Take off those lenses, maybe those labels, and get to the clear communication part. And I love anything for collaboration. Invite them in. Would you help me? Would you join me in this? Would you be a part of this with me? I don't want to be alone in this role or whatever it is you're having to do.
And I feel I can relate, and if there's people out there similar where you're significantly older than a sibling. So I have like almost 9 years on my sister. And as we become adults, we're obviously so much closer. But I can see how sometimes I need to pause and not put her in the position of she's just the baby.
Right.
And let her be the new roles and positions and places that she is. Because she has stepped up in so many ways, being an aunt, helping me be supportive with our parents or things like that, that I put her in a position of not needing to do all of that for so long. Let your sibling flourish into the person that they're becoming.
That's good.
So,
as we think about all of this, these are all different tools that we've talked about with messages, something I love. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the bigger math and saying, as we're thinking about all those many relationships and the dyads that we have in our particular families of origin, are you being curious? Like you said, Teighlor, we've got the one life. And as much as we might want to hold grudges or to hang out in the past or to put people trapped in the roles that we thought they were in when they were in high school or early college, at the end of the day, that's not going to serve us very well. So some of that, it comes down to personal reflection and saying, what do you actually want?
Yeah.
And what do you want for your kids if you have kids? And what do you want to model too?
Yeah.
We've talked about that in both episodes. And I love the emphasis on this idea of curiosity and maybe saying to yourself, okay, we've had all these past things that have happened, but now I'm going to try to figure out who you are now. And maybe you're actually someone I don't know as well as I thought I knew.
Yeah.
And if I treated you like that, I would hear you better. And so we leave with Trading Comfort for Growth challenge, which is be curious.
Yeah. I look forward to building more connection in this way.
Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello@afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.